On May 16, 2018, Dylan Sprouse tweeted, "Yo, Jared Leto, now that you've slid into the DMs of every female model aged 18 to 25, what would you say your success rate is?" And James Gunn replied, "He starts at 18 on the internet." This is the Museum of Twitter, the show where we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. Tron Ares hits theaters this weekend, and it has audiences asking one big question. Why is Jared Leto still in movies? Because as this exchange shows, it's been an open secret that he's a creep for forever. There were accusations about him during the height of Me Too, and just a few months ago, another report was dropped where 9 women accused him of inappropriate sexual behavior. Multiple of them were underage girls that he pursued, but still, Hollywood keeps putting him in movies. And it would be one thing if he was like an A-lister who brought gigantic box office returns, but he doesn't. I actually don't think that there's a good answer as to why Jared Leto's still in movies, but he should not still be in movies. And I think that this exchange is a good highlight of that. Specifically because think about how tight-lipped Hollywood generally is about people who are creeps and predators. Even when people refuse to work with someone because of their behavior, they usually don't say it out loud. There's kind of like a code of silence in that. You don't want to badmouth someone just in case you end up on the same project with them. And so I think it says a lot that Dylan Sprouse and James Gunn both felt extremely comfortable talking openly about the fact that Jared Leto's a creep. And Dylan Sprouse's tweet is not alleging anything illegal, but clearly he has observed, presumably talking to young women in his life, that Jared Leto slides into the DM of every single model aged 18 to 25. And while the tweet doesn't directly say it, the subtext is clearly that he thinks this is weird and creepy. And that in itself is already a pretty big accusation. It's the type of stone that Hollywood people usually don't throw at each other. But then James Gunn comes in and makes an exchange that is worthy of being in the Museum of Twitter. He says he starts at 18 on the internet. Obviously this is a good burn, but it's also worth thinking through. Once again, how much of an open secret it must be that Jared Leto pursues underage girls. That James Gunn, who is becoming big in Hollywood at this point, this is the year after Guardians 2 came out, he's getting a lot to lose in Hollywood, but he felt comfortable making the accusation that Jared Leto pursues underage girls. Which once again just implies that is a thing that everyone seems to know. And it's not even like Jared Leto hides it that well. He publicly hosts a cult-like event on an island for 30 Seconds to Mars, his band, every year. And if you go through the stories in the report I referenced earlier, it's really the same general MO. He uses his position as someone who is famous in Hollywood and famous in the music world to prey on young women, usually teenagers who have no power in the situation, whether or not they're underage or not. And multiple people shared stories about Jared Leto in 2022 when Lady Emily tweeted, "Hey, remember that one time James Gunn said that Jared Leto tries to hook up with underage fans and nothing ever came of it?" One such example is Alicia, who told a story of when her and her friend were picking up her friend's 16-year-old sister from a 30 Seconds to Mars show, and they were told that she was taken backstage, and when they freaked out about this, they ended up getting the sister from backstage, and she was told that she was taken backstage by Jared Leto and given a beer. Obviously, that is not a super graphic or smoking gun story, but just think about what it says, that it was clearly normalized enough that no one on tour batted an eye when Jared Leto took an underage girl backstage and gave her alcohol. That suggests that this behavior is super normal for him. Perhaps normal enough where James Gunn would be comfortable joking about it. In a more vague stories that Kids Temp Coffee said, "If anyone went to UCSB around 01 to 04, you have evidence," referring to University of California, Santa Barbara. Once again, this is an open secret apparently. And this exchange comes up any time that Jared Leto being a predator comes up. When that aforementioned report came out, people responded that James Gunn and Dylan Sprouse knew, and it comes up whenever Jared Leto is having any sort of career success. Earlier this week when it was announced that his character from Tron Ares will be joining Fortnite, Ethan quoted that news with a screenshot of the Sprouse and Gunn conversation. And a fun way it's come up recently is in Peacemaker Season 2, a show ran by James Gunn, Emilia Harcourt says the line, "I am not on good terms with 30 Seconds to Mars," which led PPPPPP to respond, "I also hate Jared Leto," James Gunn probably, which Hala quoted with the screenshot of the conversation with generational haters. And a fun joke I saw referencing this exchange during the height of Morbius jokes, I will cover It's Morbin time soon, I promise. Polydor posted to r/movie details. The groundbreaking quote, "It's Morbin time" in Morbius 2022 wasn't in the script. Leto was supposed to say, "Sleeping with underage fangirls is immoral," but he found the line too hard to understand and improvised on set. He then morbed all over those guys, and God only knows what this means. I like this joke because it's funny, because it makes fun of Jared Leto, and because it also highlights a thing that once again makes it so confounding that Jared Leto is still in movies, because he's not only not a big box office draw, he's not only a big creep, he also is apparently incredibly hard to work with. On Morbius, when they were filming the scenes before he got his vampire powers, he apparently refused to get up and walk to the bathroom and had to be wheeled over because his character was in a wheelchair. When he was getting into character as the Joker, he apparently sent bullets and feces to his co-stars. This behavior will not be acceptable if he was a saint behind the scenes, and he's not. And by the way, yes, some people did call James Gunn a hypocrite for criticizing Jared Leto for this, because James Gunn, as covered in episode 369, has a history of making inappropriate jokes about sexual assault and stuff. I will just say that I think that that is a little bit of a ridiculous accusation, because I think that there is a massive difference between making immature, if offensive jokes, and actually, being sexually inappropriate with underage girls. Also, even if he is a hypocrite, it doesn't mean it's not true. Follow me for a new tweet every day, and please consider joining my Patreon, patreon.com/Museum of Twitter, where you can get in my Discord, where you can vote on what I cover on Subscriber Sundays, and get a weekly bonus episode called Museum of Not Twitter.